Hey everybody, welcome back to the Wolfe Pit with another episode of What Are We Eating? You guys already know my love for Spam, and some of you also know my love for potted meat, which is probably one of the grossest foods to some from a visual, taste, and texture standpoint, but I love it. And I don't care what's in it. When I was a kid, I was taught nothing goes to waste. You eat everything from the rooter to the tutor. But there's also another canned processed meat that I loved as a kid, and even though it's right next to the Spam and potted meat on the store shelf, I haven't had it in at least 20 years. And that's Underwood's meat spreads, which is basically a higher quality potted meat. We used to mix the chicken or ham Underwood with mayonnaise and either make a sandwich or we'd simply dip crackers in it. So come take a trip with me down memory lane and let's try the Underwood's ham, chicken, and the one I've never had before, the corned beef spread. They also make a liverwurst spread, which I've never tried, and I couldn't find it, and I wish I could have because I love liverwurst. So since I've never had it before, let's start off with the corned beef spread. All of these cans are 4.25 ounces and cost about $1.65 each. By looking at the list of ingredients, with the exception of potato flour, it looks like all the typical ingredients used to make corned beef. So that means all that's in here is corned beef and not a bunch of mechanically separated mystery parts. There's a half a cup of meat in the can and there's 2 servings per can. Per quarter cup serving, there's 140 calories, 10 grams of total fat, 4 grams of saturated fat, 0.5 grams of trans fat, 40 milligrams of cholesterol, 450 milligrams of sodium, 1 carbohydrate, no fiber, no sugars, and 10 grams of protein. One thing I didn't like about the packaging is you can't see the best buy date until after you take the paper off. So you don't really know what you're buying until you get home and open it. But as you can see, it's not that much of an issue because they last a long time. As soon as I open up the can, I got that wonderful corned beef aroma. Can you smell it? Once you open the can, you're supposed to give these a really good mix. And after a lot of disappointment and a lot of requests over the last couple of videos, I had to bring back the revolutionary, state-of-the-art, razor-sharp Plastisoup. The more I mixed, the better it smelled, and the more it started looking like potted meat. And even though I love potted meat, it smelled nothing like potted meat. If you've ever had potted meat, you know what I'm talking about. It smells like potted meat. Only potted meat can smell like potted meat. Once it was all mixed up, I gave it a taste on its own. And shockingly, it tasted just like corned beef. I wasn't expecting a decent corned beef flavor like it had. And it had a nice meaty texture too. It wasn't overly processed. It had little bits of meat in it. Good flavor and good texture. So rather than going all out and mixing with mayonnaise and making a sandwich out of each one, I was going to try it by itself on Triscuits. Again, even with the cracker, it had enough flavor not to let the cracker take the flavor away. I was off to a good start with the corned beef spread. Now for one I'm a little more familiar with, but again, it's been a while, the deviled ham spread. Again, the ingredients are pretty much the same ingredients you use to make ham, maybe with a few additional spices to give it that deviled zip. So no mystery meats and no fillers, just ham. Another nice surprise. Just like with the corned beef, there's 2 quarter cup servings. Per serving, there's 180 calories, 15 grams of fat, 5 grams of saturated fat, 0 trans fat, 35 milligrams of cholesterol, 480 milligrams of sodium, 1 carbohydrate, no fiber, no sugars, and 8 grams of protein. Let's get it unwrapped and see what the best buy date is. And again, it's another long one. So these will make great food storage items. Now let's get it open and give it a taste. Boy, at first glance, that did not look good. But once I gave it a stir and got that fat mixed in, it looked a bit better and more like ham. And it didn't really have much smell to it. On its own, it was good. Not the flavor the corned beef had, but I didn't expect it to. It also had a nice texture, not too smooth or overprocessed. Next, I tried some on the Triscuit. And although it was still good, the flavor was a bit covered up by the cracker. Maybe if I would have mixed it in a little bit of mayonnaise, it would have helped extend the flavor a bit. Still overall, it was pretty good. Finally for the chicken spread, and this one is probably the one I ate most and enjoyed most as a kid. So let's see if I like it now as much as I did when I was a kid. I do remember my mom used to mix this up like tuna salad, with a little bit of relish and mayonnaise. The corned beef and ham spreads were fairly impressive with a very few ingredients, but then again, they're both simply cured meats. The chicken, on the other hand, is a totally different animal, no pun intended. And you can really tell with all the usual ingredients we normally find in processed foods that we did not find in the corned beef and ham spreads. Again, there's 2 1/4 cup servings per can. Per serving, there's 140 calories, 11 grams of total fat, 2 grams of saturated fat, 0.5 grams of trans fat, 30 milligrams of cholesterol, 360 milligrams of sodium, 2 carbohydrates, no fiber, no sugars, and 7 grams of protein. So let's get it unwrapped and check out the Best By date. And again, this is another long one, out to October 2020. And this one, just like with the ham, it sure doesn't look good when you first open it up. It looks like a big can of fat. But then once you mix it up, it doesn't look that bad. It just looks like chicken salad. And you do get a fairly decent smell and aroma. When I tried it on its own, it was pretty good. It had a decent flavor, but what I was most surprised with is it had a decent texture too. I wasn't expecting the chicken to have a meaty texture like it does. And there were some decent sized pieces of chicken in there too. So I definitely liked the consistency of all 3 spreads. Then it was time for the cracker test. And again, it still had a good flavor. Flavor pulled through much better than the ham did, and it wasn't covered up by the cracker at all. I really liked all 3 spreads on their own, but I think the ham and the chicken spread could have benefited from being doctored up just a little bit. The corned beef spread really packed a nice flavor punch that the ham and chicken spread were missing. So with all that said, I really liked all 3, and I don't think you could go wrong with any of them. But my favorite out of the 3 was the corned beef, coming in second was the chicken, and coming in third was the ham. I'd certainly buy all 3 again. But hey, I love potted meat, so take that for what it's worth. If you'd like to help support the Wolfe Pit, please consider being a patron. You can pledge as little as $1 a month, that's only $12 for the whole year. Or you can pledge more, that's up to you. Either way, every little bit's appreciated and helps me produce more high-quality videos more often for you, the people. Thank you all very much for watching. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.